Hello everybody, my name is Minkaro and welcome back to Slammed. So if you want to pause it to catch up on what was happening, that's fine, but we're going on to next. You know that going off script puts you on thin ice. You can't compound it by putting on any less than a stellar performance. That's what I was saying. You and Lance go back and forth, neither one really getting a clear advantage, the crowd getting more and more into a match that they didn't expect to see. Lance reverses a wrist lock. You turn a DDT into a roll-up. Lance dodges a flying elbow. You turn him into a ring post as he tries a shoulder tackle. After kicking out of another pin attempt by Lance, you lie on the floor, catching your breath. You hear Lance arguing with a ref. Then he's locking arms with you, belly to belly. He's going for a suplex, a move that would see him lift you upside down before slamming you to the mat by falling backwards. And the crowd roars louder, thinking they may be witnessing an upset. But you can only barely get your feet off the ground. Instead, when your boots hit the mat again, you grab his leg, then roll backwards. So Lance hits the mat back first. Once, then twice. A beautiful rolling fisherman suplex you call the Delgado. 1, 2, 3. The winner of the match, by pinfall, Minkaro! Lance rolls up the ring gingerly, and you climb a turnbuckle. Give the audience a thumbs down and soak in the boos. Your first professional win. You could get used to this. As your hand is raised in victory, you smile, frown, keep my face expressionless. Okay. Smiling on the surface isn't something that you want to do as a bad guy, but it might seem like a, yeah, I'm better than all of these sort of thing. So, trying to picture it in my head. I think we're gonna frown. Close, but you're already wondering if there's something you could have done to make things better. There's a lot of activity backstage to step through the curtain, but almost everyone stops and gives you a round of applause. A few of the other wrestlers even come up to congratulate you with a handshake or a pat on the back. For the first time in a long time, you feel like you belong. It's a good feeling. Then you see Vinny standing near the door to the locker room, talking to one of the women wrestlers. He's holding a rolled up new magazine. He's a hit, not a dog, which he uses to point to you when he sees you. Kid, get over here. Oh good, he's going to congratulate me. Oh no, I screwed up. Why the hell is he calling me kid? Okay, we expect him to be upset about it. I'm going to go for this option, and hopefully we're going to go over there looking a bit, apologetic. Vinny's chomping down so hard on a cigar that he's in danger of breaking it in two. You can tell this isn't going to be a pleasant conversation. What the hell was that? You hold up your hands. Listen, Lance and I agreed that if we made some changes, you mean Lance wanted to keep some heat and he suckered you into agreeing. You shake your head. It's not like that. It just made for a better mat. The cigar snaps. Then he spits the remnants onto the floor and wipes his mouth on his sleeve. You're new, so you get a pass. 1 pass. Then he moves in close and glares up at you. But let me explain something to you. You're part of a team now. You don't get to have better matches if that means reaching to the time of the next match. If you force 2 veterans to adjust to your shenanigans, you don't get to have better matches if that means you drain a crowd of the energy they're supposed to expend on the main event. I don't care if you're the second coming of Solitary. You have the matches that I say you have. Are we clear? You swallow hard. Yes, sir. You pause. Am I fired? Then he blinks, then breaks out laughing. Come off it, kid. You made a mistake, and you ain't going to do it again. But if you do, he whacks you on the arm with a rolled up magazine. Is that this week's Masters? He unrolls the magazine with a smile. That it is. Sean Anonymous made the MWWR 100 this week. That makes 5 from Borderless Wrestling. Not too shabby for a little independent, eh? Masters of Wrestling is the most influential wrestling publication in the world. While it maintains both an online and offline presence, most of their prestige comes from their weekly magazine, which features greater matches, shoot interviews, and a Masters of Wrestling World Rankings, MWR. The editor's take on the top wrestlers in the business. It's one of your goals to make it to the MWR 100. I hate it when people put the two W's together. Really messes me up. All the way to the top. But right now you're not thinking about that. You're not thinking about anything except the young man featured in an inset on the cover of a magazine. Could I borrow that for a second? Before Benny can reply, you've taken the magazine, flipping through it to find a specific article, your mind strangely blank. What's the matter? Vinny asks. It looks like you've seen a ghost. Tell Vinny, I have. Lie? It's nothing. Ignore Vinny. This is none of his business. Well, we can't ignore him because we've already upset him, so we'll tell him the truth. No sense lying, not when you can feel the tremor in your fingers, the heat rising to your head. You find the article and stare at it. It's him. No doubt about it. JJ Havoc, the future of the DWA? Oh, him, Vinny said. Came out of nowhere, wasn't even in a developmental system, when suddenly his debut match next Wednesday is a leading story on the DWA website. Why? Do you know him? Apparently you'd missed the news. You'd been too busy preparing for your big debut, or what you'd thought of as your big debut. But he just had to spoil your moment, didn't he? Just like he did 2 years ago. JJ Havoc is his ring name, but you know who he really is. Jasper Bloody Delgado. Ah, Delgado was our finisher. Oh, chapter 2, okay. Manchester. Oh, sorry, chapter 2, the barbershop window. Manchester, 1 year ago. Come on, come on. You watched the poor waiter, sweat dripping down his face, a wild look in his eyes as he fiddled with the controls of a flat screen. You didn't think his training prepared him for this kind of stress. It's probably difficult to fix a television while a table full of increasingly agitated college wrestlers was looking on. You look back at your teammates. Why don't you guys get some air? I'll call you when you've got a signal. Kevin, he was muttered, taking the hint. All except for the 6'3", 240-pound behemoth who was tapping his Frankfurter-sized fingers impatiently on the table. You too, Gris. He didn't budge. It's going to start any minute now. Uh-oh. You knew that look. Gris. His fist hit the table with the sound of a sunny truck ramming a heifer. We're gonna miss it! His voice echoed from end to end of a boom-boom grill and drew a lot of apprehensive glances your way. You could see one of the waitresses whispering urgently to the manager. He gave everyone a strange smile and walked up to Gris and casually placed an arm around his shoulders. Gris, we've been friends for how long now? 10 years, ever since you... Great, great. You know you're my guy, right? You can trust me, yeah? Of course, you don't even need to... Great. Now, trust me when I say that if we get kicked out of another restaurant, if we miss another DWA pay-per-view, you brought your arm around his neck in a tight grip. I will personally slam your fat Samoan ass onto an open grill. I will tell you around that you will never play with her in Legends of DWA. I'm flushing your solitary action figure down the toilet. Hey, first one seems a bit violent, so we're not going to go for that one. Probably best not to bring the aunt into it, family member thing. We'll go for the third one because it seems a little bit jokey. It's going to diffuse the situation. Gris gave you an absolute horror. You wouldn't. Do you really want to find out? You watched Gris join the rest of the team outside the restaurant. Gris was a great guy, as gentle at heart as he was intimidating in body, but all of you were on edge. What with the NCAA Division 1 College Wrestling Championships in 3 days, and you were hoping to let off some steam by watching the last one standing on pay-per-view. Most of you took on the Brooks College Wrestling team. Oh, sorry, most of you on the Brooks College Wrestling team were big Global Wrestling Alliance fans, but Gris took it to another level. That wasn't really much of a surprise, given that he came from a famous Hachiura wrestling family. You knew that, like you, Gris had his sights set on the DWA, but despite the fact that he certainly had a body for it, well, Everyone knows a cliche of a quiet, gentle types that go berserk when you get into a tight, right? Totally not the case with Gris. If anything, he got more timid. You're wondering if you could find some way to set off Gris's missed PPV rage right before his match in the finals, when you felt a tap on your shoulder and turned in time to see a fist flying at your face. That's a good part to end, I think. So, we're going to belong to that Delgado character. I'll see you next time. Take care. Goodbye.